Sri Lanka has released their copyright strike. But obviously, guys, let's move into the World Rugby ranking updates. Now, we are a top 30 international rugby podcast, so we will go through the top 30, and there is a bit of changes. Not as many changes as I was expecting, though. I was actually expecting a bit more change in the top 10, but literally no change in the top 10, but quite a few changes around that kind of middle of the pack and lower area of the top 30. So let's go through it. Number 30 is the Germans. Number 30, the Germany. Number 29 is Switzerland. 28, Belgium. 27, Brazil. Number 26 is Chile. And then we get to our first change, the Netherlands. They go from 24 down to 25 because Namibia goes up into the number 25 position. No, sorry, up into the number 24 position. They were in the 25 position. Canada in 23. Hong Kong gone down from 21 to 22 because Russia, they go number 21. Number 20 is Spain. Number 19, Portugal. They got a nice little cheeky last-minute win against Canada, which put them close to the USA there. They have the opportunity to potentially jump USA and Uruguay in this next couple of weeks because USA have gone down into number 18 from a 17 spot. Uruguay have gone down from 16 to 17. And the boys that I were really raging on about last week, I was telling you, Hamish, that I thought the Romanians were actually pretty good for where they were, and they are 16. And I did say that if they can show their ability here, I believe they're actually a really underrated team and could actually be above Samoa in 13th. I personally believe that, and I think they're going to start to push Georgia for the number one team of that kind of lower European rankings, if you know what I'm talking about. Number 15 is the Tongans. Number 14 is Italy. Samoa in number 13. Georgia in 12. Fiji in 11. But they are coming for that Japan number 10, son. Don't you worry. They are moving. They're grooving. But they were also close to coming for that 15th spot with Tonga if they had lost that game in Spain, which was not completely out of the question at one stage. Japan, number 10. Number 9 is the Welsh. Number 8 is Argentina. Number 7, Scotland. France in number 6. Ireland, number 5. England, number 4. Australia, yes, they're above England in number 3. South Africa, number 2. And the Kiwis in number 1. But the biggest thing that I have to mention here, Mr. Kiwi lads, is that it is only 0.03. I repeat, 0.03 between South Africa and New Zealand. New Zealand 91.36 points and South Africa 91.33 points. So what are your thoughts? Actually, we'll go through the biggest climbers first. The biggest climbers overall, obviously Romania, they went from 18 till 16. Russia went from 22 to 21, and Namibia went from 25 to 24. The biggest fallers this week, Uruguay went from that's 16 to 17. USA from 17 to 18, Hong Kong from 21 to 22, and the Netherlands from 24 to 25. But Hamish, what are your thoughts on the World Rugby rankings?
Well, no changes in the top 10 this week, but I feel like after next week, yeah, there's certainly going to be a few because I know that New Zealand, they are going to be taking on Ireland this weekend, whereas Scotland are going to be the side that take on South Africa. And we worked out that it is 16 points, that if you win by that margin, that is the absolute most you can push yourself up. So if for some reason the Scottish were able to get a win over South Africa, for example, Scotland by 16 points would actually put them up into the top 5, like they were mentioning with the likes of a Finn Russell or someone on that. In fact, that was for them just to be in the top 5 if they won by 1 point.
Are you trying to get me started here, mate? You trying to get me started?
I mean, I'm just saying that they could actually move up to 4th if England do lose their game up against the Wallabies, which I'm sure
I like what you're saying now. Yeah.
Now I brought it around. Yeah, it might be tough after their last performance, but it's good. Sorry, I just wanted to create a
I'm happy that I'm saying what you're doing here, man. Like, give me a little bit of break, you know what I'm saying? But overall, yeah, there's going to be quite a bit of changes around. Like I said, I'm really impressed how Romania played, and I did say last week that I truly believe that they are an impressive team on the up. I'm a big believer in the fact that they're a very tough team, Romania. So they're up into the 16. I honestly, truly believe that if Romania took on Tonga, I believe Romania would win that game. I believe if Romania took on Italy, it'd be very interesting because Italy did have an impressive-ish performance there against New Zealand. Obviously, the first 25 was impressive outside of that, maybe not, but we'll speak about that in a second. But Romania is probably my biggest impressive team in regards to up and coming alongside Portugal. But Portugal didn't have the greatest of games this week against Canada. I think they should have been winning that game by a bit more. I think we both predicted them to win that game by a bit more, but obviously, they didn't win it fantastically. I think that Well, look, obviously Australia will probably drop to 4th if they lose to England. It won't be a massive drop, though, but it's only because it's 86.26 for Australia, 85.44 for England. So you would safely assume that it would be more than a 0.4 gap they would get. Actually, you did the calculator?
Yeah, so pretty much at this stage, if England were to win, they will get that number 3 spot, which is something that the Wallabies will not want. But then that's also that factor of if Scotland then win, then they could actually really push themselves up to somewhere decent on those world rankings. I'm not sure when the last time Scotland were in the top 5, but they have got the potential to be able to do so. Although the Springboks, they have already announced their side, and I can tell you their bench is looking a little bit dangerous with who they have decided to go with.
South Africa's not a bad team, mate. I'm going to throw this out there. South Africa's not a bad team overall.
They play decent rugby, don't they?
Yeah, and Ireland play New Zealand, right?
That is true, but I'm not confident with that game. But we will come around to that one.
So what I'm saying is that if Ireland were to win that, would they be able to? Because New Zealand are technically first. Would they get enough points? Do you reckon to jump above it? Can you do the calculator right now? If Australia lose to England and then Ireland beat New Zealand, would Australia go into 5th?
Okay, one moment. So
Scotland won't be able to get enough points, 3 points to go above Australia.
So Ireland are winning up against the All Blacks?
Yep. So go Ireland to beat the All Blacks and go Scotland to beat South Africa and go England to beat Australia. So a whole Northern Hemisphere sweep.
Okay. So everyone by 1 point, I assume. We're not
just go 1 point. No, just go 1 point.
Right. We'll go like that. We'll go like that. And we will go like that. So pretty much the way that it would be sitting, according to these rankings, would be that doesn't seem right. That hasn't. I've got to put the nil in, don't I?
You do, yes.
Damn. Right.
I was doing this all live throughout my streams on the weekend. I was just looking at it, like updating it.
Okay, so if it was to happen the way that we have mentioned, New Zealand would actually still.
No, New Zealand would go to.
There we go. I've updated
No, they would stay in first.
Right. So New Zealand would still be in first, South Africa still in second, but then Ireland would actually move up to third in the rankings, with England in 4th, Australia 5th, Scotland 6th, and then France get pushed down to 7th. So if it is a round of upsets.
But France play Argentina, you have to go and put the France, because France beat Argentina, sorry. France play who, sorry? Who did they play this week?
France played Argentina and won by
so who did they play this week? They play Georgia. So I don't see them getting in many points there. If you quickly put in France to win by, say, 1 against Georgia, just have a quick little look-ski.
Okay, I've actually put in...
you could even put France by 50 men or 16 because they are.
Yeah, I'm going to give them the 16. So even with that 16, it says that's a lie.
I don't think they would go up. I think they'd still go down.
It seems to have forgotten. Like, it's not saying that they're gaining anything from playing Georgia, which I feel like would be slightly wrong. It wouldn't
necessarily be surprising. It might be like a 0.16 or something like that. It wouldn't be anything big because Georgia are outside of the top 12, or they're 12th or whatever they are.
So France would still be in 7th if that was the case. So they would drop quite drastically. So,
they'd drop 1 spot.
Southern Hemisphere versus Northern Hemisphere. Those games this weekend are going to determine quite a bit in the world rankings.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, look, that's obviously the World Rugby ranking updates for this week. We'll come back next week and we'll give you an update. So come back to the podcast. You guys will know everything going on because there's a lot to come. But now let's get into the latest news here before we get into the discussion of the game.